What's going on, YouTube? Uh, it's March the 16th, 2019, and this is probably the first sunny weekend that we've had in West Virginia for, it's got to be since July last year. So I got to take advantage of my time. But what I'm going to do today is, for the first time since I've had my blueberries and anything here, any of the fruit trees and things like that, I need to fertilize. And the reason I need to fertilize is last year one of my blueberry plants was caloric or however you say that word. That the leaves on the blueberry plant were a light green and a little yellowy as well. And so that's a prime indicator of soil that is not acidy enough for the plant. So the plant was just not happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you some of the things that I used to help acidify the soil, and it'll help the blueberries get healthy, produce a lot better berries, a lot more berries, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing. So this is the first time I've ever done it. I try and do everything as naturally as I can, and the stuff that I'm going to use is natural for the most part, except for I think one thing is not natural. I'm not a big fan of the term organic. Organic means that you're allowed to use pesticides, just certain amounts of them. So I think natural is the best way to fly, but that's just me. And they've got everything organic nowadays, from dry cleaners to pesticides to God knows what. And so I'm thinking that if you can have organic dry cleaning, who in the world knows what that is? Because I don't. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, I'm going to show you what I used, and how I did it, and the thinking that I used behind the way I did things. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I think I've got everything here that I've read about and that I've used and things like that. And I'll go over each one of them here real fast. This right here is my favorite word, organic. Soil acidifier. And I'm going to use just a little bit of this. It calls for about a cup per plant, and I'm going to use about a handful. And a handful is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about a half a cup, maybe even less. I don't know. But I'm a fan of less is more. I know that this is not going to burn the roots or anything like that, but I still don't want to overdo it with any one thing. I'm just a fan, like I said, of less is more. That's just kind of the way I do business, and I don't want to fire hose one of my plants with a whole bunch of stuff, and then in a couple of months things having a difficult time, and I got to figure out what's going on, and it's just not doesn't make sense to me. So, but anyway, this is espoma, and it's a soil acidifier. It's supposed to be a really great thing for your blueberries. It says it's safer than aluminum sulfate. Now, the thing about aluminum sulfate is that aluminum sulfate is right now. Okay, you put that stuff on and it works right now. That's kind of that's kind of not good. That's kind of how you can really burn your roots on your plants really fast. So from what I've read, and I read a lot, but that doesn't mean I'm speaking the truth. But from what I've read is that what you want to use is sulfur, and the reason why you want to use sulfur is because sulfur, it takes time to turn into sulfate. So it starts with sulfur and it takes time to turn into the sulfate, which is what the plant likes. And the length of time that I've read is usually somewhere around 6 months. So it's a slow process. So whatever you give the plants, it's getting that sulfur, the sulfate, slowly. And again, with me, I think that's the better way to go. But you know, again, I'm not living for today. I'm living for tomorrow. You know, and I want my blueberry plants to, you know, outlive me. These things are expensive, and you know, it's time. You know, so it takes a few years for blueberries to grow and, you know, get to the size that we want them to get to, so they produce really great berries, and not just great berries, but a whole lot of berries. You know, we're humans. We're greedy. It's just the facts. The other thing that I've used, and this is pretty good stuff, is Hollytone. Now, Hollytone is really good. This is going to make your soil nice and acidic as well. And of course, you know, the buzzword here, organic. It's all marketing, you guys. It's what it is. It's marketing. But you know, once again, this is another product that is going to help you make your soil acidic. It's good stuff. You know, the way that I've used this again is you know, a handful. My hands aren't that big. I'm just your average size human, and you know, I think that the amount that I use of the Hollytone, I can make a good assessment, you know, in 3 or 4 months as to what's going on. Did it help the plant? Did it not help the plant? And you know, again, that just makes sense in my brain. I read a lot about this. This is Epsom salt. Now, Epsom salt is going to do one thing really well, and what that's going to do, it's going to help your plant to take up the nutrients that it needs. And so when your plants get deficient in something, sometimes they get what they call locked up. And locked up means that they're having difficulty absorbing the nutrients that they need, and the Epsom salt will help that. Now, I bought this at CVS, and I don't see the term organic on this. Go figure. But I'm going to use, you know, a very small amount of this. I think that this stuff, you know, it's salt. It goes a long way. So I'm going to use just a little bit of this, probably like a tablespoon maybe, or something like that. Not a whole lot at all. This right here is something that'll burn the roots of your plant fast. It's also something that if you apply it a few times too heavy, it can actually kill your plant. And that's not from reading. That's from my dad. And my dad, he had more than a green thumb, I can tell you that. He could grow anything. And you know, I'm a novice in comparison. But anyway, so Epsom salt, I think it's going to be very helpful as well. Now, finally, I read about this and I saw some YouTube videos and I thought, man, that's pretty cool stuff. And the reason why I went out and got this Alaska brand fish fertilizer is that this is really going to help a lot with the foliage. It's also going to help a lot with the root system. And so the first number, you guys, whenever you see the NPK, the first number is nitrogen. Nitrogen is what makes things or helps things stay green, and it helps to feed. So I've used this in an earlier watering that I did last week, and I'll probably do some today as well. But so that's what I'm going to do with the blueberries today, and I think at the end, I always mulch with pine bark mulch. This is a natural product. This is exactly what it says it is. It's pine bark, and don't be confused that pine needles will make your soil acidic. It won't. It's been proven. It's documented fact. You can read about it. You can YouTube it. You can do whatever you want. The pine needles don't help your soil. They are a good mulch, however, but they're not going to help you decrease the acidity level of your soil. So the optimum level, I think, is somewhere between 4.5, 5 is the pH that you want in your soil for your blueberries. And this right here, a good layer of this, about 3 or 4 inches per bush is going to do a lot of things. It's going to naturally, keyword, it's naturally going to break down in your soil. It's naturally going to retain moisture. It's going to help your plant. It's going to keep the roots cool, and it's just good stuff. You can get it at Lowe's. That's where I got this. $2, $2.30, I think. Lowe's didn't pay me to say that, but about $2.37 I think is what I paid for these, and it's quite an insurance plan for your plants. As a matter of fact, it's a great insurance plan for any plant. Now, right here in front of my house, I have a log home in West Virginia, right in the mountains. In front of me is a great big huge mountain, but here in West Virginia I've got 13 blueberries in the front of my house, and you can see down this way, it looks like a little bit in the picture, you can see the pine bags that I've got laid out. But I've got 13 here, and then I've got about 50 something over there in another bed that I've got, and I have about 30 more to plant. But I've been preparing that bed for 6 months, and pine bark mulch and sphagnum peat moss is what I used over there, and I can tell you right now, it's pretty dry out here considering what we've gone through for the last 8 or 9 months. But that soil over there is ready to go. So if you're planning to plant blueberries next year or in the fall of this year, my recommendation would be to start now preparing your soil. It takes a few months, and all you've got to do is buy a bale of peat moss, sphagnum peat moss. It's natural. It's not organic. It's natural. And it is a renewable resource, by the way. Anyway, take about 6 months. Get a few bags of sphagnum peat moss. Get a bunch of this. Turn your soil over. Mix it in pretty well. Keep it watered. This stuff right here is going to break down quick. The sphagnum peat moss is going to hold the water in it. That's what it does. It's also going to acidify the soil. That's what this is going to do. And then what you can do at the same time, if you can find it, get some gypsum. Now this right here has got magnesium, or excuse me, this right here has calcium in it, which is very good stuff, and I'll let you read about that. But it's also got sulfur. And again, the sulfur takes time to break down. So, you know, if you give the soil a few months to acidify itself with your help, and a little bit of this, sphagnum peat moss and the pine bark mulch, your soil is going to be perfect, I would say. Or if it's not perfect, it's going to be pretty darn close to perfect. But, you know, this is going to give you really, really good soil, and your blueberries are going to be really, really happy. So, you know, that's just what I did. You know, every place is different. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own, you know, ideas. But I thought that I would, you know, do a video on, you know, what I did, and you know, maybe it can help somebody out there. Maybe, you know, somebody's got, you know, ideas, things that I didn't think of, which I'm sure they do. And you know, this is all about helping each other out, you know, and knowledge is power. And you can grow your own food, and you can have your own food plots. I'm going to tell you, it's a good thing in today's world. But anyway, I'm just gonna I'm gonna flip the camera around here in a second, and I'll just show you how I applied some of this stuff onto my blueberry bed. And appreciate you watching. Here we go. All right, here's the soil acidifier. That's this stuff in the blue, and that's about how much I've taken. And you know, that might even be like a third of a cup. And I'm just going to take this this blueberry plant here. It's probably 5 or 6 years old, and I'm just going to lightly sprinkle it around, and that's going to help it a lot. A little bit goes a long way, guys. Don't think that more is better. More is better in some things. Probably not fertilizer. Okay, next up is the Epsom salts, and again, I've taken just a little bit. You know, that's probably not even a tablespoon. That might even be a half of a tablespoon. And so all I'm going to do again, I'm just going to sprinkle it right around the plant. now we're going to put on 1 bag of the pine bark mulch. Try and keep it away from the main stem. That's what I try and do. Everybody's different though, you know. But this is probably going to help, you know, get some more rainwater down in there. But I'm going to do this for every plant, and it doesn't take long. It's a little bit of work, but it doesn't take long, and you know, this is going to help your blueberries tremendously. Okay, here's the finished product after it's been mulched. There's 4 in here. Some Patriot, Elliott, Duke, Chandler, and there's 4 here. Looks pretty good. I had to. I was running out of mulch, so I used pine bark nuggets instead of shredded mulch there, but it's okay. It's all working out. Right here, I'm doing a little bit of repair. I need to find another log that's long enough, but I planted these just a few days ago, and these are called sunshine, or excuse me, powder blue blueberry, and they go all the way down to here. So yeah, it's worked out pretty well. Well, that's about all I've got as far as blueberries go. The other thing that maybe I should add in here is that I do water my blueberries every week, and I have a rain barrel that I use, and it's 1,000 gallons. And I don't use tap water for anything, because tap water has a whole bunch of stuff in it that I probably can't pronounce, so I'm not even going to try. But you know, it's treated with a lot of things. Now, our atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, and so you know, nitrogen is a good thing. It's a good thing for a lot of things, and obviously it's good for us because you know, we're breathing this stuff. so it's obviously good for us. But I only use rainwater, and you know, I just think that's a good thing to do. And you know, you should, so they say you should water your blueberries 1 to 2 inches of water a week. And I usually give mine, you know, I don't know how much it works out to be, but I think it's around 2 gallons a week, something like that. And they seem to respond pretty well to it. So that's the only other thing that I can add. And you know, if you're going to do that and you're going to use the fish fertilizer, just you know, mix in the recommended dosage. I think it's like it says here 2 tablespoons per gallon. So you know, pretty simple. It smells bad though. So FYI. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. You know, please give me some comments. You know, if you have ideas, or maybe I've said something incorrectly, please let me know. And you know, I've got thick skin. If you know, I'm not one of these people that's gonna cry the blues if you say something I don't agree with. But you know, give me some feedback. Tell me what you think. I hope it helps you. If you have questions, please ask. I'll tell you anything I know, and I'll do anything that I can do to help you. So anyway, I hope that your blueberries are doing good, and you know, come back and watch again. Thanks for taking the time out. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Here's the other blueberry bed I was telling you about that I had started prepping about 6 months ago. It's 34 feet long and 20 feet wide, and that soil is it's awesome. I haven't done a soil test, but I can tell you it's ready to go. I've dug a few test holes in there, lots of moisture, lots of worms and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of happy blueberry plants in there pretty soon. And that right there is an apple tree that'll be transplanted next weekend. And the blueberry plants that I have coming for this are 30 Patriot blueberries. And I bought them from DeMayo Farms, and they didn't ask me to say that, but I'm just telling you. And so there's currently 10 in here right now, so there'll be 40 in this one, and I'll still have room for probably another 20. And I've got another bed that I'm preparing now for fall. So that's what's going on here in West Virginia as far as the blueberries go. So I'm going to take a shovel full of this soil just so you can see what's been going on over the last 6 months. Look at this. It's all that peat moss I put in there, all the wood chips. Well, actually not wood chips, but all the shredded pine bark mulch. These are the mini nuggets. The soil is great. It's going to be perfect for these blueberries when they get here, probably in the next couple weeks. This is a final thought that I thought I'd throw in there. This is a praying mantis cocoon. Now, praying mantises are very good for your garden, so don't destroy these if you see them. This right here will make about 500 or 700 praying mantises. That's how many larvae are in there. And birds really like to feed on these things, and I'm really surprised that they haven't destroyed this one. But I think the reason is because it's very close to the ground, and there's a lot of predators, that birds, fear. So I think that's why it's survived. Now, praying mantises are really good to have in your garden. So if you see these, don't destroy them. They're not hurting your plant at all, and they'll be hatching out here pretty soon. And I got to tell you, boy, wouldn't that be cool if I could see them hatching out? I doubt it, but it'd be pretty cool. Anyway, I thought you'd like to see that.